Very good afternoon, my dear friends. This is Dr. Padala Tirupati, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Government Degree College for Women, Jagityal. So I would like to invite today's resource person, Dr. P.Manjula Madam Garu, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Rbvrr Women's College, Autonomous Hyderabad. Madam has huge experience in these plant sciences, botany. Last 3 years, since 3 years, Madam has given her valuable time for us. So, my dear friends, utilize this opportunity and during the class, you should write notes from the class. So, this is a good practice for you. Madam, please welcome and start your session. Share your screen, madam. Madam. Okay. Madam, please click on slideshow.
Okay, sir. Okay, good afternoon, my dear students and all of you. So today's topic is permanent tissues. So in last class we discussed about the plant anatomy. Mainly
Okay, madam, proceed.
so some disturbance is there. Okay. So in last class we discussed about the meristematic tissues, and today's class, that is generally tissues, plant tissues are classified into two types, that is the meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. So meristematic tissues mainly helps in the plant growth because they are continuous state of division and helps in the growth of the plants. Next one is the permanent tissues. So they perform different functions. Okay, so here the permanent tissues means they develop from the apical meristem and they lose the power of cell division either permanently or temporarily. So, here permanent tissues, they also develop from the meristematic tissues only. And they lost the power of cell division and either permanently or temporarily. Okay. So, here again, permanent tissues, they are classified into two types, simple permanent tissues and complex permanent tissues. So first one is the simple permanent tissues. So simple tissues means they are made up of only one type of cells and they are structurally, the cells of this simple permanent tissues, they are structurally and functionally similar. Okay, so here the simple permanent tissues means they are made up of only one type of cells. They made up of are composed of only one type of cells and they perform similar function. Okay, whereas the complex permanent tissues, they are made up of more than two types of cells. Okay, so first one is the simple permanent tissues. So here the simple tissues, again they are classified into parenchyma, parenchyma and sclerenchyma. So first one is the parenchyma. Tell me. Any doubt? Okay, so first one is the parenchyma. So here the simple permanent tissues are again classified into three types. That is parenchyma, parenchyma and sclerenchyma. So first one is the parenchyma. So parenchyma means it is generally present in all organs of the plant. So these are generally called as the ground cells. Okay, so because they are generally all parts of the plant generally made up of parenchymatous cells. So it forms the ground tissue in the plant, and this parenchyma, it is a living tissue and it is made up of thin walled cells. Okay, so the main character is they are the living cells and they are made up of thin-walled cells. And the cell wall, here it is made up of cellulose. And the parenchyma cells may be, the shape of the parenchyma cells, it may be oval shape or polyhedral, cylindrical or irregular in shape, or it may be elongated or arm. So here the shape of the cells may be varies, but they are made up of, the cell wall is made up of cellulose. Okay. So here the parenchyma tissue generally has a prominent intercellular spaces. So generally they are here intercellular spaces are present and they store various types of materials like water, air, ergostic substances, or sometimes it may also store the starch, food materials also. So it is usually colorless. And the tertiary parenchyma cells mainly helps in the, it gives the rigidity to the plant body, stiffness to the plant body. So the partial conduction of water is also maintained through the parenchymatous cells. Okay, the main characters of the parenchyma cells are, they are the living cells and the cell wall is made up of thin cellulose and the cell wall is thin walled and here the intercellular spaces are present. Okay, and another one is, so these parenchyma cells may store various materials like water, air, also ergostic substances, etc. Okay, so next one is the, so occasionally these parenchyma cells which store resin, tannins, and crystals of calcium carbonate and calcium oxalates also. Okay, so they are called as the idioblast. If the parenchyma cells which stores the different materials like resins, tannins, or crystals of calcium carbonate and calcium oxalate, they are called as the idioblast. So idioblast means nothing but the parenchyma cells with calcium carbonate or calcium oxalates, etc. Okay, so the parenchyma, it is of different types and some of them are discussed as follows. So based on their function and the storage of the different materials, here the parenchyma cells are again classified into different types. Okay, so first one is the arenchyma, the next one is the storage parenchyma and chlorenchyma and prosenchyma. So these are the different types of parenchyma based on their storage and also their function. Okay, so first one is the arenchyma. So here in the intercellular space, we already discussed that. So parenchyma cells with intercellular spaces are present. So in these intercellular spaces, they store the air. Okay, hence it is called as the arenchyma. So generally this arenchyma, it is seen in hydrophytes. Okay, generally in hydrophytes, this arenchyma is present, the cell leaf, stem material. So generally it is made up of arenchyma and that gives mainly buoyancy, that is the balance to the plant. So first one is the arenchyma. So the parenchyma which contains air in its intercellular spaces and it helps in the aeration and also the buoyancy. Helps in aeration and also gives balance or buoyancy to the plant. So example is nymphia and hydrilla. So generally this arenchyma, it is mainly seen in hydrophytes. Second one is the storage parenchyma. So the parenchyma cells, if they store the food materials, it is called as the storage parenchyma. So here the parenchyma cells which stores the air, it is called as the arenchyma. Okay, example for arenchyma is nymphia and hydrilla. So second one is the storage parenchyma. So the parenchyma cells which stores the food materials, which stores the materials. So food materials, it is called as the storage parenchyma. So examples are root and stem tubers. So example carrot also. Okay, it stores the food materials in the tubers. Okay. So next one is the stillate parenchyma. So the star-shaped parenchyma. So the it is generally this star-shaped parenchyma which is seen in the petioles of banana and canna. So here stillate, the based on the shape here, stillate parenchyma, star-shaped parenchyma. So another one is the chlorenchyma. Chlorenchyma means the parenchyma cells. They contains the chlorophyll and helps in the photosynthesis. Hence the name chlorenchyma. So chloroplast plus parenchyma. Parenchyma plus chloroplast. It is called as the chlorenchyma. So it is seen in the generally in the mesophyll of leaves, which contains chloroplast. Generally mesophyll of the leaves made up of parenchyma cells and they contain the chloroplast and helps in the photosynthesis. So it is called as the chlorenchyma. So next one is the prosenchyma. So prosenchyma means the parenchyma cells. Here they are elongated and pointed and slightly thick walled. So generally here the parenchyma cells, they are thin walled, but here in prosenchyma the cells are somewhat slightly thick walled and it gives mechanical support. Okay, so they are called as a prosenchyma. So prosenchyma means here the parenchyma cells only, they are elongated and pointed and somewhat thick walled and it gives a mechanical support. They are called as a prosenchyma. So these are the different types of parenchyma based on their uh, storage and also the function, based on the function and storage material. So here they are different types. So aerenchyma, first one is aerenchyma means, so they contain the parenchyma which contains the air in its intercellular spaces. It is called as the aerenchyma. So generally it helps in the aeration and also the buoyancy. And example for this aerenchyma is nymphia and hydrilla. Generally, aerenchyma, it is present in hydrophytes. Okay. So, we already seen in the this Marsilia also. Okay. So, generally in the hydrophytes, this aerenchyma is present. So, second one is the storage parenchyma means the parenchyma cells which stores the food materials. Hence, it is called as a storage parenchyma. Example, roots and stem tuberous. Next one is the stillate. So, based on the shape here. So, star-shaped parenchyma. So, it is seen in the petioles of banana and canna. Another one is the chlorenchyma. So, here are parenchyma cells which are storing the chloroplast. Okay, so the parenchyma cells with chloroplast. And this chlorenchyma helps in the photosynthesis. Example is mesophyll leaves, mesophyll of the leaves. Next one is a prosenchyma. So the main function of this prosenchyma is it gives mechanical support because these parenchyma cells are elongated. Generally, we discussed that generally the parenchyma cells are oval shaped, but here they are elongated and pointed and slightly thick walled and helps in mechanical support. So these are the different types of parenchyma. So first one is the aerenchyma cells. So here here in between the intercellular spaces. So here these air cavities are present. So next one is the starch. So here the cells, the parenchyma cells, here they are storing the starch grains. It is called as a storage parenchyma. So next one is the stillate parenchyma. Okay, next one is a chlorenchyma. So here the palisade tissues. So generally they contain the chloroplast and helps in the photosynthesis. Next one is this one is the prosenchyma, elongated cells and gives mechanical support. Okay, so this is about the parenchyma. So parenchyma is, it is a simple permanent tissue and simple tissues means simple permanent tissues means they are made up of one type of cells and they are structurally and functionally similar. Hence the name simple permanent tissues. So here simple permanent tissues, they are parenchyma, cholenchyma and sclerenchyma. So, parenchyma, it is the living cell. Okay. So what are the functions of this parenchyma? Okay, so main functions of this parenchyma are the parenchyma cells mainly play an important role in many life activities of the plant, such as photosynthesis, respiration, storage, and also the secretion. And next function, the main function is another one is, so they retain the meristematic activity even at maturity and thus play an important role in wound recovery and also helps in vegetative functions. Okay. So now another one is they give turgidity to the young plant pods. So these are the main functions of the parenchyma. So next one is the cholenchyma. So the cholenchyma, it is a simple living mechanical tissue and the cholenchyma generally occurs in so parenchyma which is present and generally it is made up of parenchyma. Okay, so next one is the cholenchyma. Generally, it is also a simple living mechanical tissue, and the cholenchyma generally occurs in hypodermis of the dicot stem. Okay, so generally hypodermis, it is made up of cholenchyma. So, and it is absent in roots and also occurs in petioles and pedicels, stalks. Okay, and the cells are elongated and appear polygonal in cross section. And the cell wall is unevenly thickened. So the important character in this cholenchyma is here the thickenings are unevenly thickened. and it contains more of hemicellulose and pectin besides cellulose. So generally in parenchyma, the cell wall is made up of cellulose, but here in parenchyma, the cell wall is made up of, along with the cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin. Okay, and here uneven thickenings are seen in the parenchyma. And generally, this parenchyma, which is absent in the roots. Okay, so generally here the parenchyma, generally it is seen in the hypodermis of the dicot stem. It provides mechanical support and elasticity to the growing parts of the plant. Okay, it provides mechanical support and elasticity to the growing parts of the plant. So generally this parenchyma, it consists of narrow cells. Okay, it has only few small chloroplasts. So generally in the parenchyma, small amount of chloroplast is present. Or sometimes chloroplast may be absent. So tannin may be present in the parenchyma. So based on the pattern of pectinization, so generally we already discussed it here. The cell wall, it is made up of cellulose, along with the cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin is present. More amount of hemicellulose and pectin is present. Okay, and it shows uneven thickening. So based on the pattern of pectinization of the cell wall, here there are again this parenchyma is classified into three types. That is angular parenchyma, lacunar parenchyma, and lamellar parenchyma. So here that is, so based on the thickenings, here we discussed that in parenchyma, the mainly uneven thickenings are seen. So based on these thickenings, here they are classified into three types: angular parenchyma, lacunar parenchyma, and lamellar parenchyma. So first one is the angular parenchyma. So angular parenchyma means mainly the thickenings are seen at the angles. Okay, angles of the this here thickened corners. So only at the corners it is called as the angular thickenings. So it is called as the angular parenchyma. So based on the thickenings. Second one is the lacunar parenchyma. So here the intercellular spaces are thickened here. Next one is a lamellar. So they are formed as a layers, lamellar. So first one is the angular parenchyma. So it is the most common type of parenchyma with irregular arrangement and thickenings at the angles where the cells meet. Okay, at the two angles. Example, hypodermis of datura and nicotiana. So here angular thickenings are seen, hence the name angular parenchyma. In angular parenchyma, the thickenings generally seen at the angles. Okay. So example is hypodermis of datura. So generally example angular parenchyma is present in hypodermis of datura and nicotiana. So next one is the lacunar. So the parenchyma cells are irregularly arranged and cell wall thickenings and the walls bordering the intercellular spaces. Okay, between the two cells here, the intercellular spaces, the thickenings are seen. It is called as the lacunar parenchyma. Example is hypodermis of hypomia. In hypomia, the lacunar thickenings are seen. Next one is the lamellar parenchyma. So lamellar parenchyma means here the parenchyma cells are arranged compactly. They are arranged compactly without intercellular spaces, and here in the form of rows. So the cell wall is thickening is at the tangential walls. So these thickenings appear as a successive tangential layers. So example is here the hypodermis of helianthus. Okay. So angular parenchyma. That means here the thickenings are present at the angles. Okay. So the cell wall material generally at the corners are angles of the cell. So the tissue becomes compact. So as this due to presence of these thickenings here, the tissue becomes compact tissue and consists of irregularly arranged cells without intercellular spaces. So due to these thickenings here, without they are so intercellular spaces are absent and they are arranged compactly. Okay, so next one is a lacunar. Here in lacunar, the cell wall material is mainly deposited around the intercellular spaces only. Okay. So example for this is hypomia and other species like stems of Malvasia also. Okay, lacunar parenchyma is seen. Whereas angular Whereas the lamellar, third one, that is whereas in lamellar, so the wall thickening is restricted to the tangential walls only at the transverse wall. So the cells are arranged in tangential rows. So hence it is appear like a plate or a band. Okay. So when we observe this, so they are appeared like a plate or band due to this tangential thickenings. So these are the three types of parenchyma. So based on the thickenings, okay, the cell wall is made up of here cellulose. So small amount of cellulose and more amount of hemicellulose and pectin. So these are unevenly thickened. So based on the thickenings only, angular thickenings, lamellar thickenings, and lacunar thickenings. Okay, first one is the angular thickenings, second one is the lacunar thickenings, and third one is the lamellar thickenings. Okay, so what are the functions of these? What are the functions of this parenchyma? Okay, so it is by mistake sclerenchyma. So main function is here. It gives flexibility and elasticity. So the main function of this parenchyma is it gives flexibility and elasticity, and which is called as the tensile strength. So generally when we observe the plant, so due to heavy winds, so the plant will bend but not break because due to presence of this parenchyma only. Okay. So it gives flexibility and elasticity, so which is called as the tensile strength. So young plant pods can grow and bend in any direction. So parenchyma, which is present at the margins of the leaf lamina and which prevents the tearing of the leaf due to the wind current. So they cannot break due to presence of this parenchyma. And parenchyma with chloroplast helps in the photosynthesis. So these are the main functions of the parenchyma. By mistake here the sclerenchyma is given, but it is the function of the parenchyma. Okay. So the main functions is it gives flexibility and elasticity, so which is called as a tensile strength. So this parenchyma mainly helps, gives the tensile strength. That is, they can bind in any direction without the breakdown of the stem due to presence of this parenchyma. It also present in the margins of the leaf lamina and it prevents the tearing of the leaf. So due to presence of this parenchyma at the margins of the leaf, so it helps in the it help prevent the tearing of the leaf. Okay. So if the, so we already discussed that sometimes parenchyma it contains small amount of chloroplast. So if the parenchyma which contains the chloroplast, it also helps in the photosynthesis. So these are the functions of parenchyma. Okay. So parenchyma, the main points in parenchyma, it is also a simple living mechanical tissue, and generally this parenchyma it is present occurs in hypodermis of dicot stem, and it is absent in roots. And here the cells are polygonal in cross section. And here the cell wall is made up of hemicellulose pectin along with small amount of cellulose. Okay, so here the main point is they are unevenly thickened. So based on these thickenings, this parenchyma is again classified into three types: angular parenchyma, lacunar parenchyma, and lamellar parenchyma. So angular means so at the corners are angles only. The thickenings are mainly present at the angles or corners of the cell. So they are called as the angular. Example is hypodermis of Datura and Nicotiana. Whereas lacunar parenchyma, so here they are present. The thickenings are mainly present around the what you call intercellular spaces. Okay. So the parenchyma cells are irregularly arranged, and the cell wall thickenings and the walls which bordering the intercellular spaces. So example is hypodermis of hypomia. Whereas a lamellar, so the here also they are present at the tangential walls. Okay, the thickenings are mainly seen at the tangential walls. Lamellar parenchyma. So first one is the angular, only at the angles. So here, blue colored one. So these thickenings are intercellular, that is lacunar parenchyma. This one is the tangential or lamellar parenchyma. So the main function is here it gives flexibility and elasticity to the plants. That is called as the tensile strength. So due to presence of these parenchyma only, the plants due to heavy winds, the plants they cannot break. The stems are young stems are they cannot break due to presence of this parenchyma. Next one is the sclerenchyma. So third one, the third simple permanent tissue, that is the sclerenchyma. So sclerenchyma, it is a dead cell and lacks protoplasm. So in simple permanent tissues, that is first one, that is parenchyma and parenchyma, they are the living cells. Okay. But this sclerenchyma, it is the dead cell. Okay. And they lacks the protoplasm. And the cells are long or short, narrow, thick-walled, and lignified. So here the cell wall is generally made up of lignin. Okay. And the cell wall of these cells are uniformly and strongly thickened. So here the thickenings are uniformly thickened and strongly thickened. So the sclerenchymatous cells are of two types. So based on the size, okay. So here the sclerenchyma, it is the main function of this sclerenchyma is it gives mechanical support. Okay. So among these three, that is parenchyma, parenchyma, and sclerenchyma. So here the sclerenchyma, it is a dead cell. So here sclerenchymatous cells are again classified into two types, that is the sclerites and fibers. So first one is the sclerites. So, another is the sclerites is stone cells. They are
మనకు మంది ఉన్నా మనం
isodiametric, but some are elongated. So the cell wall is very thick due to the so thick wall. Okay, so lumen is very much reduced. Here in the lumen is very much and are branched. So sclerites are mechanical in function. The main function
నీకోసం ఉంటా అన్నావు నేను అందుకే నిన్న రాలే ఇవాళ అనవసరంగా లాస్ట్ ఇవాళ నేను రా ఇవాళ ఉంటా అని చెప్పిన రమ్మన్నాను నిన్న ఉంటా అంటే నిన్న వస్తుంది కదా నిన్న ఎప్పుడు వచ్చింది సాయంత్రం 5 అయిపోయింది కొడుకుని 3 గంటలు కొడుకుని
following types. Okay, so dead cells and they are isodiametric, very thick,
మళ్ళీ నువ్వు
so
రమ్మంటే రమ్మంటే వద్దంటే రాను తిన్నరా
so the pits may be simple or branched, and sclerites, they gives mechanical support. So here sclerites are classified into okay. So sclerites are classified into 5 types. So based on the shape and also their function. So first one is the brachysclerites. So brachysclerites means these are isodiametric sclerites with hard cell wall. And it is found in the bark, pith, cortex, and hard endosperm and fleshy. First one is the brachysclerites, are stone cells. So the shape is isodiametric and with hard cell wall. And generally it is found in bark, cortex, hard endosperm, and portion of some fruits. So they are found in outer plants. So example is Crotalaria and Pisum sativa. So next one is the third one, that is the osteosclerites. So here bone shape. So the rod shape with dilated ends. So they occur in leaves and seed coat of Pisum and Hackney. So next one is the astro. Astro means star shape. Okay, so the star-shaped cells with lobes or arms, which diverging from the central body. So they occur in the and leaves. Astrosclerites are seen in Leafia and Crocodendron. There is a tricho. Tricho means, trichosclerites means they are hair-like. Okay, so hair-like thin-walled sclerites and numerous small angular crystals. They are embedded in the wall of the sclerites. So they present in the stem and leaves of hydrophytes. So sclerites. First one is the brachysclerites. Okay. Another name for this brachysclerosis is the stone cells. Next one is the macrosclerites, elongated cells with here broad lumen. Third one is the bone-shaped sclerites. The next one is the astro, star-shaped. And another one is the trichosclerites, means hair-like. Okay. So based on the shape here, classmate the three types. The fibers. Two types. That is సార్ మీరు అన్మ్యూట్ సార్ మీరు అన్మ్యూట్ చేశారు, మ్యూట్ చేసుకోరా. Okay, so next one is the fibers. So fibers, they are very much elongated sclerenchymatous cells with pointed tips. Okay, so these fibers are dead cells and have lignified walls with narrow lumen. So here, based on the size and shape, here these sclerenchyma cells are classified into sclerites and fibers. So these fibers are elongated sclerenchymatous cells with pointed tips, and fibers are dead cells and have lignified walls with narrow lumen. Here the lumen is narrow. Okay, so they have the simple pits. So they provide mechanical strength and also protect them from the strong wind. So it is also called as a supporting tissue. So these fibers are of great commercial value in cottage and also in the textile industry. So fibers are of 5 types here. So wood fibers are, so here based on the where they are present. So they are classified in different types. Position. Okay, xylary fibers mean the fibers which are present along with the xylem. Okay, these fibers are associated with the secondary xylem tissue. So they are also called as the xylary fibers. So these fibers are derived from the vascular cambium. And these are of 4 types. So first one is the libriform fibers, fiber tracheids, septate fibers, gelatinous fibers, etc. Okay, so here these fibers are again classified into libriform fibers, fiber tracheids, septate fibers, gelatinous fibers. So first one is a libriform. Libriform fibers means these are slightly lignified secondary walls with simple pits. Okay, these fibers are long and narrow. Libriform fibers means these are the long and narrow fibers with slightly lignified secondary walls with simple pits. So second one is the fiber tracheids. So these are the shorter than the libriform fibers with moderate secondary thickenings in the cell walls. So the pits are simple or it may be bordered pits. Another one is the septate fibers. So here the fibers that have thin septa which is separating the lumen into distinct chambers. Example is teeth. So another one is the gelatinous fibers. So the fibers in which lignin is less in amount. Okay, and here the cellulose is present. More amount of cellulose is present. So gelatinous. So these fibers are mainly characteristic of tension wood and which is formed in the underside of the leaning stem and branches. So next one is the functions of these sclerenchyma. Okay, so the main function of this sclerenchyma is to provide strength and hardness to the plant body. Next one is here the fibers. The fibers provide mechanical support to the plant body, and here the fibers are commercially useful for textile industry mainly. So among the dicards, the phloem fibers are soft and flexible. and they are also known as the soft fibers. The phloem. So here the fibers are classified into two types, that is the xylem fibers and phloem fibers. So xylem, the fibers which are associated with the xylem, they are called as the xylem fibers, and the fibers which are associated with the phloem, they are called as the phloem fibers. So these phloem fibers are soft and flexible. They are called as the soft fibers. So example, flax, jute, hemp. So the in monocots, the fibers in the monocots, they are called as the hard fibers. Okay, because they have the strong lignified walls, and they are hard and stiff. Hence, they are called as the hard fibers. So the fibers of monocots, they are called as the hard fibers. Example is Manila, hemp, sisal, etc. So these fibers also used in paper industry and also the for the cordage. So this is about the sclerenchyma. Okay. So in sclerenchyma, that is among these three simple permanent tissues, the sclerenchyma only the dead cells, whereas the parenchyma and parenchyma, they are the living cells. Okay. The sclerenchyma, it is a dead cell and they lack the protoplasm. So the cells are long or short with narrow, thick-walled and lignified secondary walls. So here the cell wall of these cells are uniformly thickened, whereas in parenchyma unevenly thickened. Okay. So here, based on the size and shape, here the sclerenchyma cells are again classified into sclerites and fibers. Sclerites means they are the dead cells and they are isodiametric, but some are elongated. So the cell wall is here very thick. Due to here in sclerites, the cell wall is very thick and very narrow lumen. Okay, lumen is very narrow here. And here the pits may be simple or bordered pits are present. And the main function of these sclerites is mechanical in function. They gives hard texture to the seed coat, endosperm, etc. So here, based on the shape, these sclerites are classified into brachysclerites, macro. Brachy means isodiametric sclerites with hard cell walls, and 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 they are found in bark, pith, and cortex, heart, endosperm, and fleshy portion of the some fruits. Whereas the macrosclerites, they are the elongated and rod-shaped cells, which are found in the outer seed. Astro means bone-shaped cells, mainly seen in the leaves and seed coats. Example is seed coats of Pisum and Hagia. Next one is the astro, that is the star-shaped. They occur in the petioles and leaves. Example is tea, nymphaea, and rhododendron. Whereas the trichosclerites, hair-like sclerites, numerous small angular crystals which are embedded in the wall of these sclerites. They are present in nymphaea, leaf, and aerial roots of monstera. So next one is the fibers. So these are fibers are very much elongated sclerenchyma cells with pointed tips. So these fibers are dead cells with have a lignified walls with narrow lumen. Okay, they contain simple pits and gives a mechanical strength and protect from the strong wind. So again here these fibers are classified into libriform fibers, fiber tracheids, septate fibers, and gelatinous. So libriform fibers means these fibers, they have slightly lignified secondary walls with simple pits. Second one is a fiber tracheids. So these are shorter than the libriform fibers with moderate secondary thickness. Whereas the septate, so the fiber with the thin septa is present. So which is separating the lumen. Next one is the gelatinous fibers. So these fibers which in which less amount of lignin and more amount of cellulose is present. So the main function is they give this characteristic of the tension wood, and which is mainly they are present at the underside of the leaning stems and branches. So the main function is they gives mechanicals. They gives the strength and hardness to the plant body, and it gives mechanical support, and these fibers mainly useful in the textile industry. Okay, so this is about the simple permanent tissues. So next one is the differences between these. What are the main differences between these meristematic tissues and permanent tissues? So here the meristematic tissues, they are in continuous state of cell division. So they are the cells divide repeatedly in meristematic tissues, whereas in permanent tissues, they do not divide. So next one is in meristematic tissues, the cells are undifferentiated. Okay, whereas in permanent tissues, the cells are fully differentiated. Whereas here in meristematic tissues, the cells are small and isodiametric. Whereas in permanent tissues, the cells are variable in shape and size. Next one is in meristematic tissue, intercellular spaces are absent. Whereas in permanent tissues, intercellular spaces are present. Next one is the vacuoles are absent in meristematic tissues, whereas the vacuoles are present in permanent tissue. So here in meristematic tissue, cell wall is thin, whereas in permanent tissue, the cell walls may be thick or thin. So here inorganic inclusions are absent in meristematic tissue, whereas here in permanent tissues, inorganic inclusions are present. Okay, so these are the differences between collenchyma and sclerenchyma. So collenchyma, it is a living cell, whereas the sclerenchyma, it is the dead cell. And collenchyma, it contains protoplasm, whereas in sclerenchyma, protoplasm is absent. So cell walls are cellulosic. In collenchyma, cell walls are lignified in sclerenchyma. So thickening of the cell wall is not uniform. Uneven thickenings are seen in the collenchyma, whereas the thickening of the cell wall is uniform in sclerenchyma. So keeps the plant body soft, whereas the sclerenchyma keeps the plant body stiff and hard. So sometimes it has a chloroplast in collenchyma, but they do not have the chloroplast in sclerenchyma. So another differences between these fibers and sclerites. Okay, so fibers. So here in the sclerenchyma, so they are divided into two types, sclerites and fibers. So fibers are long cells, whereas the sclerites are short cells. So fibers are narrow, elongated, pointed ends, whereas the sclerites, they are short and broad, occurs in bundle. So fibers occurs in bundle, whereas sclerites, they occur individually or in sometimes in small groups. So fibers are commonly unbranched, whereas the sclerites, it may be branched. So they are derived directly from the meristematic tissue. So fibers, they are derived from the meristematic tissues, whereas the sclerites, they develop from the secondary sclerosis, that is from the parenchyma cells only. Secondary sclerites, generally they derived from the parenchyma cells. So this is about the differences between meristematic tissues and permanent tissues, and collenchyma and sclerenchyma, and fibers and sclerites. So today we discussed about the simple permanent tissues. Okay, so in next class we will discuss about the complex tissues. Okay, so I will stop here. Any doubts?
Madam?
Sir.
Okay, I am giving a chance to the unmute the participants. If you have any doubts, my dear friends, please ask our respected madam. I have given a chance. Okay, madam, thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. So tomorrow also the same time we will going to meet. Thank you, madam.
Okay, thank you, sir.